you can't go on wondering where you...
What's up, guys? It's me, Troy, and I'm back again with another video. I just got back from cleaning the church, and I was like, you know what? Before I sit down and read a book, because I'm currently reading Icy Sparks by Gwen Hyman Rubio, and I'm less than 100 pages away from the end. I'll talk about this book later, but I'm actually enjoying the book. But I want to go ahead and finish it today because I just love to read, and plus it's not the perfect time to read. But before I do that, I want to talk about the book that I read previous to that book, and that is The Other Side of Pain by Etterlene Debarge. And there's Etterlene Debarge there. And I'll just put like a little picture somewhere because, you know, I need to use my fingers to talk about books and talk about anything in general. But first of all, if you guys are probably not a lot of you guys are not familiar with the group, the Debarge. They were kind of a pop R&B group that was at their absolute highest, and pretty much only in that decade, this decade, absolute highest in the 80s. It consisted of 5 siblings. At first it was 4, and then James came in, and then, you know, it was 5, and the lineup kind of changes off and on since then. But despite all that, you know, this group they were known not only for their looks, they're known for their melodies and their songs, because they were like really talented. I would suggest anybody to look them up on YouTube, their music. And they were known, even probably above even their talent, they were known for their addictions to like various drugs and alcohol, as well as pills. And, you know, they have their family has a history of being in trouble. But with all that said, as it pertains to Etterlenes' autobiography, you know, with everything that we know about the Debarge family, you know, the drugs, the alcohol, the jail, you know, the death of their older brother Bobby, you know, he died from AIDS back in the mid-90s. You know, her autobiography, I keep doing that, her autobiography shed a lot of light as to, you know, why her kids may have made those decisions that they've made, you know, growing up in a house that was filled with abuse. Etterlene Debarge was a black lady who grew up in a large family. You know, they were all churchgoers, and she actually married a white military man whose family completely, you know, they just had no respect for his decision in marrying this woman. And as far as I can tell from this her autobiography, his family didn't want anything to do with her and her children, so that just kind of cut ties with that. But as it goes, her husband at the time, you know, he was a very abusive man. Like, he was, I mean, he was an abusive man. He was abusive and crazy. And I don't think that her biography really got into the full scope of the details of the abuse, but we already know, and we already seen this spoken of, but we already know that he sexually abused his eldest daughter, Bunny. But she didn't go into a lot of details about the abuse, and I kind of want to say that she kind of skimmed over a lot of it because I'm sure there's much more to it. But just the fact that these kids, you know, they grew up in this house that was, you know, this man was punching out walls and calling them all kinds of names and stuff, you know, like, what else can you do but try to run away from that, you know, your entire life, you know, growing up in such a tense household. But there's like a criticism that Etterlene gets a lot regarding, you know, her role in this. You know, people like to say that she sort of, I don't want to say pacified it, but she wasn't proactive in trying to get her children away from this man. But in the book, she clearly did. Like, I was like, she packed up her bags and stuff and got out of there when she found out that her daughter was being sexually abused by her husband. And I was reading some reviews, and they were like, you know, she didn't do anything and all this stuff. Well, as far as this autobiography goes, she packed up her stuff and left. Now, you know, you can't really get all the details, so there may be some more in that, but at the end of the day, to me, it did show that she was a lot more proactive in getting her children out of that situation, even to the point where she had to ship each of her kids off to different uncles and aunts to have them taken care of until she got herself together. But what happened is she did have to go back to her husband once all of her kids were in a safe space to sort of build herself up so that she can get away from him permanently. Now, even despite all of that, I will say that as it concerns this autobiography, you know, Etterlene Debarge was very proactive. But let me tell you something, and I don't know how you guys are going to take this, but, you know, her kids went into the music industry. You know, let's see, James married Janet Jackson very early on, and then there's that rumored daughter. You know, her son Bobby died of AIDS. You know, he went to jail. Her son Chico went to jail. El Debarge himself, you know, I think he was arrested at one point. But all the drugs and alcohol, like I don't think any of her children was escaped the possibility of finding themselves in the face of drugs or alcohol or some sort of abuse, that whatever they used to try to combat their demons from their childhood. But with that being said, like I was going to say, the one criticism that I do have of her story is that, and I don't know how people are going to take this, but as they grew up, her proactiveness really just went as far as praying for them. All right, now you know, that's not something I'm going to get into. Okay, I believe in that 100%. With them calling her on the phone, talking about what they're going through and their struggles and needing some relief, you know, I was kind of hoping she would be like, well, you know what, we're going to pray, but then we're going to take your ass to rehab. You need to take your ass to rehab, or you can come home or do something. But it's just, I don't know, like, I just did not understand, like, I believe in the power of prayer, girl, but sometimes you gotta, like, look, you gotta cuss your kids out and be like, look, yo, your ass is, I'm tired of you. You need to go get yourself some damn help and pray about it at the same time. So that's kind of one of the one criticisms I have about her story. But as far as after she revealed all the things that her children went through in their household, the majority of the book she kind of took on each of her different children, or the most famous or popular ones, and went through their individual journeys, and as far as what was her relationship in some of the bigger events within their lives. Like with James Debarge, James Debarge was bae back then, but not anymore now. But anyway, with James Debarge, she went into his very early on his marriage to Janet Jackson. With Chico, she went to his incarceration. You know, he was involved with like a drug cartel of some sort. Then she talked about, of course, Bobby's death from AIDS. She went a little bit earlier on. She went into Bunny's story of being sexually abused by her father. As with El Debarge, she went into him a lot as well. A lot of his problems came out, you know, during his careers when he went solo, and you know, he didn't have his siblings around, so he started to get into recreational drugs, I guess you can say, to sort of cope with the pain of not having his siblings around, as they themselves were falling down their own holes of despair. I really did like getting into each little aspect of her children, as well as, you know, feeling a mother's love. But like I said, I mean, I believe in the power of prayer, girl, but with what some of these kids was doing, no, I need to take y'all ass to some treatment facilities. I'll be on the phone like, look, I'm sick of this. I'm praying for you, son, but if you don't take your ass to a treatment facility, I'm gonna come up to California and beat your ass. That's what I went ahead and did. So that kind of annoyed me, though, low-key. But despite all that, I have to say that I did enjoy the book. But really, none of this stuff is new. Not like, it's intimate, but it's not really news. It isn't anything new at all. It's just really her, I guess you can say, her perspective of watching her kids fall down these rabbit holes of fame and drugs and alcohol and sex. You know, but I appreciate it. That's the difference, though. I appreciated it. But despite all that, I have got to go ahead and make it clear, girl, that I did have to say that the book was very poorly written. And like I said, I think I said early in this video, if I don't edit this out, I take books as they are. I knew what I was getting into. It just took me a little flip through the pages to know what I was getting into. You know, the large double, triple, quadruple space between sentences and paragraphs, you know, that these like blurry pictures and stuff. You know, the book came out in 2007, but and you know, of course, worse is the grammar and everything. Oh my goodness. Even from the first page, I saw the, oh my god, like, and even I make this mistake when I'm speaking. When I'm speaking, it's different than when you're writing. But you know, Down syndrome was spelled Downs with an S syndrome when it's really just Down syndrome. But you know, I guess that's neither here nor there, because I think when I speak about those sort of things, like if I was to say it myself, like I would say Tourette's syndrome, you know, and I think that may just be a Southern thing, even though I think she's from Detroit. But anyway, but besides that, you know, the book was filled with it was just the clauses, the commas were out of control. They were out of control, and then they were under control, like undercooked, under control. Clauses were not separated. Oh gosh, let's see, we tangled with the clauses and subordinate clauses. When I first started reading the book, like I said, I knew what I was getting into, so it didn't take me too long to adjust to it, and maybe occasionally I had to go back and reread paragraphs to understand what she was trying to say. But you know, I don't know, I'm unbothered by a lot of things. Like I didn't say I enjoyed it, but just for the simple fact that it was her autobiography and this was a lady who took the time to write it, I appreciate it. And to me, that's kind of enough. But even beyond the clauses and the grammar and the spelling, I think she was overwriting in the sense that she was using unnecessary words to convey her point. Not only just unnecessary words, but she had poor word choices about a lot of things, and I think I kept a tab on a few of them. Oh, but see, here's one. Like, and this is right here, I don't even think this is a poor word choice. This is just not kind of understanding what is supposed to be what's supposed to be said. But she wrote, the Sphinx rising from the fire was the unlikeliest of the siblings. So let's think about the Sphinx. If I'm even pronouncing it right, the Sphinx rising from the fire was the unlikeliest of the siblings. Okay, so, well, first of all, that's an awkward ass sentence. But Sphinx, what she mean is the phoenix rising from the fire was the unlikeliest of the siblings, you know? I mean, you know, the phoenix, not the Sphinx, you know? But it was just little things like that that's just kind of like, okay, all right, Miss Debarge, you know. But like I said, this book came out in 2007, and it is self-published. And like nowadays, as I was reading the book, I was like, I really would hope that she would go back and redo the entire book. Like from 2007 to now, there's so much progress that has been made, like ebooks and otherwise. Like there's so many options. You can get another freelance editor. You can get someone to really spruce up this material. There's some better pictures in it, and just everything, girl. Just have a ball. I think that's all I really wanted to say about the book. I did enjoy it. I mean, would I recommend it? I mean, yeah, just for the fact that you can appreciate, if you're a fan of this group, and you know you have a love for their mother and want to hear her story or her side of the story, then I think it is okay to get into. But for the average or casual person, no, you don't, because you have to have a certain level of investment in the book to actually get anything from it. But I still appreciate it. At the end of the day, I wouldn't pay over $15 for it, though. How much is it? It don't have a barcode on the back. Never mind. But anyway, that's all. Other Side of Pain by Etterlene Mama Debarge. That's my kind of pseudo review, and I am out.
I know a place where we